As we continue to watch the motorcade proceed towards the library, Wolf, I'm struck by the number of references made in the eulogies today about how Ronald Reagan's greatness not only came from his political genius, but it was born out of his relationship in many ways with his wife, Nancy. And there's one thing we want to share with our audience now, and it's their love of music. No one loved music more than Ronald and Nancy Reagan. They loved lyrics, they loved rhythm, they loved to dance, especially to American popular music. And their song was Our Love Is Here to Stay by Ira and George Gershwin, so much so that Ronnie, as Nancy would call him, would have actually Nancy sing it to him. They also loved the rendition of the incomparable Michael Feinstein, a Gershwin aficionado who was often invited by the Reagans to play at the White House. And yesterday, Michael Feinstein played for us at the Jefferson Hotel here in Washington. Great to see you.
Thank you. Likewise.
What happened the first time the Reagans heard you play?
It was at the Annenberg's home, and I was playing Somewhere My Love from Dr. Zhivago. President Reagan, whom I had never met, came over and said, you know, I think that song added a lot to the success of the movie. I said, I agree with you, Mr. President, because songs do expand the success of a film. And I said, you know, this movie theme. And he looked at me and he said, that's King's Row. That was my best movie. And I said, yes, I'm glad you recognized it. And from there, we had a conversation about music, and I discovered that he was an avid fan of American popular music and knew a lot about composers and songwriters. And I was in heaven listening to the President of the United States not only tell me stories about great songwriters, but also hearing him sing at the sing-alongs at the Annenbergs later.
What was it about their favorite song? Our Love Is Here to Stay. This spoke to him. Was it the beautiful lyrics?
I think the combination of the music and lyrics being so eloquent. Ira writing that lyric after the death of his younger brother George, and the meaning of that song about how everything in the world is changing, but this is something that is real and is lasting and is going to be around forever. And clearly anybody who was ever with the Reagans in a social setting saw this tremendous love between them, and whenever I would start to play that song, as I did on many occasions, they would always hold hands and they would look at each other in a way as if they had just met and fallen in love.
And I understand it was very painful for you to play the last time you played at Nancy Reagan's birthday party, that the President wasn't capable of attending.
Yes, that was tough, because Nancy was, you could see a world of memories in her eyes, and everybody was just feeling this palpable grief for everything that she'd gone through, and seeing an era disappear before our eyes.
Would you play the song for us now?
With pleasure. The more I read the papers, the less I comprehend the world and all its papers, and how it all will end. Nothing seems to be lasting, but that isn't our affair. We've got something permanent, I mean in the way we can. It's very clear our love is here to stay. Not for a year, but ever and a day. The radio and the telephone and the movies that we know may just be passing fancy, and in time they're gone. But oh my dear, our love is here to stay. Together we're going a long, long way. In time the
What a beautiful look back at so many of those memories in the Reagan's life. I don't know, I know, Wolf, you had a chance to read some of what Nancy Reagan wrote this week in Time magazine, and I think it was so beautiful. And she said, I think, when she wrote of her husband, I think they broke the mold when they made Ronnie. He was a man of strong principles and integrity. He had absolutely no ego. He was comfortable in his own skin. Therefore, he didn't feel he ever had to prove anything to anyone. He said what he thought, and he believed.
Paula, that was so beautiful, the way Michael Feinstein did that, the way you went over there to the Jefferson Hotel and got him to sing that song. That love affair is so special. Let me just point out to those viewers who may just be tuning in, on the left part of our screen, we're seeing that motorcade make its way over to the Presidential Library, the Reagan Presidential Library. The right part of the screen, we already see the library where the service will take place, scheduled to begin in about a half hour or so from now. Larry King is going to be walking us through that service shortly. No one more qualified to better help us understand what is about to unfold. Larry, when you heard Michael Feinstein sing that song, knowing this love affair between Ronald and Nancy Reagan as well as you do, what went through your mind?
Of course, we talked about that song a lot. I would have lunch with Nancy, I would say, once a month. In fact, I had the honor of emceeing that dinner 2 weeks ago when she made that strong statement about embryonic stem cell research. She loved that song. That was their song. They had an incredible romance. It was a romance right from the get-go. In fact, in March of 1995, Nancy took me on a tour of the Reagan Library here in Simi Valley, and there were some great stories, including one about the marriage proposal from Ron. Watch.
Did he propose?
Of course, he called my father.
Before he asked you?
Mm-hmm.
And?
And my father said fine.
And how did he ask you and where?
He asked me at home. We were at home.
In South
My
Africa?
home. My apartment.
And he said, casually, I called your dad.
Yes. And it's all right with your family. Is it all right with you?
Were you coy?
No. And I don't think he thought I would be.
And by the way, tomorrow night we're going to repeat on Larry King Live a bunch of interviews that I did with Nancy Reagan, tie them all together, and then Sunday night, Wolf and Paula will repeat the last interview we did with the president. That was back in late 1990 or early 1991. So Nancy Reagan tomorrow night and President Reagan on Sunday night. And the beginning of this motorcade is starting to come right behind us. We just saw a couple of motorcycles and a van go by. That tells us that it's not too far away, and they're going to keep right the time. This thing should start right on time, guys. Wolf?